episode 187, I think, of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me, as always, is the great Scooter Waters and Carcass John, and we have Vic Stone from Vindicator joining us, but we also have a sponsor, mediatech.edu. Let's play the video.
I'd say here the advantage is the teachers. The advantage is that they work in this industry every day. And they have been for 30, 40 years, some of them. I myself have been doing this for over 30 years. And I think that's the advantage. We know how to teach people how to do things, and better than most, if you're just a teacher and not in this industry, I think that's the immediate advantage is just the personnel we have here, period. They're veterans.
All right, mediatech.edu with campuses in Dallas and Houston. If you want to learn all things audio and video engineering, that is the place to do it. Go check out their website because they do have open houses coming up. I know there's one in August. So check that out if you're interested in getting into the business.
And they truly do got something going on. I mean, that's a very cool place, and if you really want to learn, that's the way to do it. And their experience is part of their allure. I mean, they got, great facilities. And thanks, Tony. And by the way, yeah, let's get Osric Tentacles right off the bat. I appreciate Tony, though. He gave me a project to do. I kind of recycled an old drawing that really didn't get used, and it became this giant banner at Full Terror Assault. So I feel pretty honored. And then I did a little sticker for him, which I posted this morning. And anyway, so appreciate that opportunity, that artistic opportunity.
Yeah, it's awesome. We have a guest today. This is gonna be a very scatter shooting show. We are going to talk about all manner of bullshit today, including soap and candles. I'll get to that shortly. But right now, speaking of soap, Vic Stone from Vindicator is with us. And Vic has some things that he needs to get off his chest. He's fighting mad.
I'm so angry. So here's the thing. Here's the real scoop. This literally happened to me, I think, about 30 minutes ago. I was eating soup, and I chipped one of my teeth. So
on soup?
That's an honest to God story. Yeah, I chipped a tooth on soup. So I guess that I'm officially over the hill. I'm chipping my teeth on things that you shouldn't be capable of chipping your teeth on. So
what the hell
that's it, guys. I'm heading out now. I hope you like my segment.
but have you sneezed and thrown a muscle out yet?
Yes, that actually happened to me. Some pulls, not actually like dislocated or slipped a disc or anything, but I've had a few pulls. Yeah, that happens to me pretty regularly. Like in the groin, as weird as that is. I'll sneeze and it's like, oh, I don't know what that is. It's probably not good. I should probably see a doctor.
I think it's time just to shut down the episode. Let's just end it right there. Thanks for coming, everybody. Episode 187 is.
Yeah, let us take a look. We can get you through this, man. That would change the show in many, many ways.
It would. It would.
Let's see. We've got. Oh, sorry. Yes. You got some Vindicator shit going on. Talk to us about that.
I do. Quite a few, and both of these top gentlemen are actually involved in some manner of an aspect of it. So our debut record, There Will Be Blood, turns 15 years old this year. And, I could have waited till it was 20 to do something cool, but I'm one of those strike when the iron's hot kind of individuals. And it was an opportune time for us to reissue that. So it's never been reissued on CD. It did get a vinyl pressing in 2012, I believe, on Dementia Records. That saw 100 translucent red copies and 400 black copies. And the label's not since defunct. They did a great job on it, but they're relatively hard to find and more than likely overpriced. So it was a good time for us to reissue that. And in doing so, I went full throttle and went for the trifecta of media. So it's getting reissued on cassette, it's getting a double disc CD reissue, and another reissue on vinyl. This vinyl pressing will see random colors. I think there's a blood splatter and some other various variants. And since we were doing all this, we decided to hook up with original vocalist Marshall Law and do a few shows this year as well, which is an odd occurrence for us, given our lead player lives in Billings, Montana. So it's difficult for us to set shows up. I've said that probably in every interview, but it's the truth. So local shows aren't a thing that are very common for us anymore. So when we do something, it is special because it takes a lot of planning, like months upon, like we have to book out like 6 months in advance. And it's not just because he's from Billings. He's also in several other bands that are actively doing stuff. So it's a tricky planning there. So we're going to play an 18-year reunion show just here in a couple weeks on August 19th at a local venue called the Maple Grove, which we will have opening acts Assault and Necro Prophecy. If you've not checked them out, do so. Assault has been around for a while. I think their drummer is in 200 Stab Wounds, if you're familiar with that band.
Oh yeah.
And Necro Prophecy is they're new, they're up and coming, and they remind me of myself when I was their age, which is ridiculous to say, but is the truth. There's a lot of spirit. They're a lot of fun. So it's and then after that, we will be playing Metal Immortal Fest in Pittsburgh in September with headliners Hyrax and Midnight. So that's going to be a boatload of fun as well. And that is my 2 cents on the world right now.
Well, let me inject then that if you want let me inject if you want the 2 CD set, it's on sale now at
That's right.
No Left Till Metal records.com, or you can also go to rocksrecords.com. It'll get you to the same place. 2 CDs. The first disc is remastered original album, and the second disc has got just a boatload of demos and live tracks. And
I had a lot of fun digging that stuff up, and that's one of the things. I found a box of stuff and was just listening to it, and I was like, this is a lot of stuff from that era. This would make great bonus material. Oh, well, thank you guys. This show promoting my band, new people listening, thank you for checking us out.
Well, and Mark Massacre's from Australia too, so now you're international.
Yes, now I know more than just Dave Balfour. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's in a Melbourne band.
Well, no, this is freaking me out. That's freaking me out right there. Jamie Walters, and he says Midnight. Now, if you're not sure, if you don't know, Athnar, or however he says his name, Jamie Boulder is Jamie Walters. Wow, the irony is wild. Jamie Walters is Midnight, but not this Jamie Walters.
That Jamie Walters is the wife of Alex Dominguez, who was one of the original members of Devastation.
Wait, so Jamie. Oh, okay, all right. There you go. And also does the merch for Midnight, correct?
Yes.
The t-shirts.
Rodney Dunsmore. I think prints all the Midnight stuff.
Okay, that's what it is.
And there's a connection between Corpus Christi and the Midnight guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, this is a small world. Now we're doing like 6 Degrees to Jamie Walters.
That's right.
Right. And she probably knows Kevin Bacon too.
Right. This is wild. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun for us this year. It's been a significant amount of time since we've played a proper show. I think the last time we played a proper show was in 2017. We played a benefit show for a friend of mine who had passed away in 2019, but it was hastily thrown together. I had to put the show together. So booking a fest style show and trying to play it, I know people do that, and it's a lot. And then you take the emotional load on top of that. And I don't know, I didn't want to play it, but my wife talked me into it, and it was a difficult show to play. And then we, Jeff Potts from Warbringer, Mantic Ritual, Guy Gax, The Fae, was filling in on guitar for us. We got to practice with him like 2 days before we were able to play the show. So it was tough. We pulled through. We did our best, but this is a little more comfortable as we've, been planning for it and getting ready. So it's a lot on the scale for us. We haven't done anything for a while, so this is exciting to work with different labels on a release and coordinate all this stuff. It's been kind of fun.
That's cool, man. That's lots of good shit. I want to throw
what
out
labels?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was gonna. What labels are putting out the cassette and the LP so people can get it if they want?
Absolutely. So you've already mentioned the No Life Rocks, and did you mention that it's got a special pre-sale price as well for the double CD
Yes.
right now?
Yeah, $15 until pre-sale is over. Then it goes up to $19.
There you go. So save yourself a couple bucks and get all that awesome bonus material, which includes 2023 single Fog of War that we tracked with original vocalist Martial Law. Glory or Death Records out of California is putting out the vinyl. I work with them on the Volcana stuff. They do great work. They actually press the label presses their vinyl in Cleveland, which is super cool for me, being that I'm from Ohio and from Cleveland area. And I actually press the cassette myself under my own label, Speed Metal Records. I do that with stuff that, basically cassettes and CDs that I don't know. I don't feel like pushing on other labels. In fact, Speed Metal was I put out Communal Decay prior to the reissue on No Life Till Metal. So like I do my own stuff. I give it a name now instead of just independent. So, like it's slap a label on there, make it look at least semi-pro.
Oh, that's cool.
And you can get the pre-orders from gloryorddeathrecords.com. You can get test presses, signed test presses. We signed them all. Pre-orders on the random color, which is they do that. It's kind of fun. It's like a vinyl grab bag, if you will. You kind of just get whatever you get. They don't even know what the color is when they pull them out and ship them. They also have the pre-order up for the Blood Splatter. Now, the certain variants, they wait and they do special drops for those. They work with an individual out of Gotta Groove Records in Cleveland called Wax Mage. This guy does really wild stuff with vinyl, man. His stuff looks fantastic. So those particular variants, they'll do a drop where it's first come, first serve. They announce it, so you've got ample warning as to when they're going to put them out there. And typically the Wax Mage variants, he does a couple variants for them, but one is labeled Wax Mage. There's only like 25 of those offered, and they typically sell out within 15 minutes. And I don't even know. It's just fans of his work. I don't even know if these people like metal or what, but that stuff sells out every single time. So, and
Wow.
it's very pricey. If you're into exotic small presses, that's something to look out for. You can pre-order the cassette at our Bandcamp account, vindicator.bandcamp.com. And all that stuff should be shipping soon. You can still get some soap if you're stinky and you want some heavy metal soap. We do still have some left. There's not much left. That's an item that will not get a reissue.
It is delicious. Get it while you can. I'm on my second round. Couple things real quick, and then I want to get to some of the stuff you guys have picked up. I've got 2 stories I want to tell. So I'll just show a couple things real quick, and then we'll go around the horn, and I'll tell some stories later. If you live in the U.S., and you would like a Metal Roundtable sticker for free, send me your address at iammetalrob@gmail.com. iammetalrob@gmail.com, and I'll mail you a sticker or 2. Just send me an email. That's a great deal. U.S. only, please. I love you.
Please.
But it's expensive to ship stuff,
It is.
One other thing I want to show real quick. I put a link in the comments to evokecandleco.com. For those of you who do not know, that is run by the great Gina, wife of Nigel Glockler, friend of the show, drummer of Saxon. They've always got killer deals going on. They've got rock and roll themed candles. They've got metal themed candles. And so I went out the other day. They had a sale, and I bought a couple of Nigel candles. But here's the part I wasn't expecting. So this looks pretty much like it does on the website. You get the box and the candles in there. I'm not going to take it all out and everything. Smells delicious. It came today. Pretty cool with a nice young Nigel Glockler on there. Here's the thing I wasn't expecting for my money. I bought a 2 a 2-candle set of Saxon. It's called it's the denim and leather set, but I got to show you this.
Yes.
First of all, it comes with a cool keychain. You can also buy these. They have these for sale on the website, evokecandleco.com. And they've got tons of different bands and themes for these hotel keychains. And then in the box, this still isn't the best part. In the box, you get a couple of candles, one called denim, one called leather. Oh, but guess what? The box is denim and signed by
Nice.
the man.
Oh,
I
wow.
was not expecting
That's awesome.
that. So anyway, that's cool. But yeah, go over and give Gina a shout at evokecandleco.com. And if metal or rock and roll and candles are your thing, trust me, this exceeded all expectations. My expectations were high. I knew it was going to be nice shit, but holy crap, man, good stuff. So check that out over there. Yeah, you boys talk about something, and then we'll circle back around to stories.
Just cutting us free.
Yeah,
There it
Okay,
is.
you want me to start?
do
Go
it.
I'll
ahead.
start.
I need to pick up a few
Any-
new things.
Anybody? You guys already know because
I
you
already
cheated.
know.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything because I know.
This is brilliant. This is a college record a record store, bookstore in Denton, Texas. It's a home of the University of North Texas, and they did a death metal logo, and it's the picture of their building, which looks very gothic. And I just thought, this is so killer that I couldn't resist. But before I get down the road too far, Vic, when was the date for the show that you're playing with Hyrax at the Pittsburgh Metal Fest?
Oh, geez. Now, forgive me. I've been forgetful the last couple days. It's September 17th, maybe.
Because
check.
September is Carcass John birthday month,
That's a good month.
Ah,
and you know there are lots of things happening, and that sounds like the
I think it's
Queen-
September 16th.
okay.
Pretty sure.
Would it be a weekend? Probably.
It's a Saturday, right?
Okay.
Let me triple check here. I
Okay.
will completely verify on my cellular device. Let's
your
see.
apparatus.
Because I know this, but it's just I'm too dumb. Yeah, September 16th.
September 16th. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Because
And that's not all. I mean, there's a ton of great bands on there, but I mean, those are the two headliners.
well, I'm look, Friday night, the Queen and I ventured out. We this national tour with Havoc and Toxic Holocaust has really struck our interest. And let me tell you something. The 5-year hiatus from those guys really showed because they were getting it all out of their system. And
absolutely.
It was, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, Vic, but man, if they get anywhere near where you are, you need to go see them because both bands absolutely destroyed. And Joel Grind was kind enough to hook my daughter up with a press pass, and she shot the show. She shot about 2,000 pictures, and she's in the process of sorting and editing and doing some things. But wait till they come out, you guys. You're gonna it's gonna blow your mind. I've kind of leaked out a couple, and but we had so much fun. And Steph and I actually got down into the pit area and threw some bodies around. And she's she's 9 weeks out of surgery, and I hope her surgeon's not listening. Well, I mean, I hope he is. I hope he's. But she just said, I can't resist. I got to get in there, and she, hopped around and did her thing, which is what she loves to do. So
Yeah.
she said, I finally felt alive. I thought that was kind of funny, but it was great. And both bands were all the bands were spot on. The band I'm not familiar with, even though they're from here in Texas, and I see their name pop up everywhere. They were really good. I didn't get a chance to catch the young guys, Hammerhead, but everyone said that they were great. But I'm telling you, Toxic has never been more tight. They were. I really like the Belmore Brothers version of Toxic Holocaust. It's hard to beat those two with Joel Grind, but this is a serviceable simile of Toxic Holocaust, and Havoc was absolutely ripping.
Yeah.
technical, killer breakdowns, and the crowd was absolutely insane. It looked like the permapress cycle in your washing machine, and it was on like Donkey Kong, man. I caught an open beer can to the top of my head. I still have a little bit of a nick there, but it didn't matter. It was part of the deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's good to see that metal is still alive and well. And so I'm looking for the next gig like that. So I don't know, that we might consider going up there to Pittsburgh, because that would be kind of fun to see you in person. And then
Absolutely.
we're friends with Hyrax, and you know, it would be kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, all that being said, what about you, Scott? What do you got before? I know we were going to talk about some things that we picked up, so I'll let you blather on for a minute or two, and then we can start
Well,
trading.
I mean, I saw. I think I talked a little bit last week, but I saw Heathen and Overkill, and they were fantastic. But when you were talking about the crowds going crazy, I've never seen a crazier crowd than I saw at Dark Angel in LA a couple months ago. That crowd was
Yeah.
insane. I swear there was half the crowd was made up of guys in their 20s who think it's 1986, wearing their high top white sneakers and denim vests, jumping off the stage, and the stage diving was just nuts. I've never seen a crowd as crazy as at Dark Angel ever.
I
And
can
I've been
believe
to
that.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows, if not thousands.
Well, if you're old enough to have seen Violence or Forbidden back in the 80s, or even Slayer, the Dark Angel pits were also equally as brutal, and yeah, bodies heaped on. But that's, you know, the Violent song, bodies heaped on bodies.
Yes,
That's what that's about.
but I got to say,
So
one of the coolest things I've seen at a show was at the Overkill show. While Overkill was playing, there was a couple guys there that were, I suppose, paraplegics and wheelchairs, and they were crowd surfing one of the guys in the wheelchair. I thought that was just badass, and it was so cool that even the band stopped and said something about it, you know. So yeah, it was incredible shows that I saw. I have both those. Dark Angel with Evil Dead were like, they just destroyed. But speaking of Evil Dead, the new Anger's Art's coming out very soon, and I'm really anxious for that. Two of the four guys in Anger's Art are also in Evil Dead, so it's basically Evil Dead's lead guitar player and Evil Dead's drummer, you know, from all the way back in the early days. There's also in Anger's Art, which of course is Steve Gaines of Abattoir and Bloodlust, and
Friend of the show.
yes, absolutely. So
it
I'm
felt
really
like,
looking forward to that one.
yeah, it felt like there's just a new energy out there for metal. It's like the whole, should I say, the P word, pandemic is all behind us now, and people are almost turning back, you know, going back to normal. And man, it was just, it felt good to be out and mixing it up, and hearing just, I mean, killer, you know, just, I heard some guys on the radio talking about AI creating music, and soon they're going to take the human element out of it. I don't know that they can do that with metal, especially thrash, because that's one of those genres that either you can or you can't. And when you can and you're good at it, then it's really insane. And anyway, it was just it was kind of just interesting to kind of revert back to those previous experience and seeing it happen in the, you know, in the present. So
Unfortunately, I've heard some AI power metal and some AI thrash, and it sounds pretty damn good. I mean, I have no interest in computer created music. I was just amazed that it was as good as it was. It sounded like a human singing.
well,
it was
should we ask
pretty
Vic?
amazing.
Vic, are you AI right now, or are you trying to test out a new? Yeah, see,
I'm not. I've never been real.
I knew he sounded too good. I thought it was the microphone at first, but no, I knew it was AI.
Shades. They're not real.
They're not real.
Yeah, no, nothing you see right now on this end is real. I'm just all prompts from some nerd feeding it into the
He's
not
back
computer.
there behind the curtain doing this.
Yeah, this is one of those fake, like there's green screen back there. I'm
Right,
actually
right.
behind that, like in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, don't
I'm
don't
just a
look
little.
behind the wall of CDs. There's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
I designed it to make sure that there was like clutter on my amp and on the floor too, to make it more
Yeah.
authentic,
That is pretty authentic looking for green screen. They must have gone to MediaTek because they do that type of stuff there. They have a green wall studio.
Oh goodness. I wish I was
Nice.
AI sometimes, and I'd probably play better and would probably have more fans.
No. Dude, I love the human element though of metal, and that's
Right.
that's what I always tell people. It's one of those can or can't things. And
Especially live. So
Right.
like here's the thing. I don't remember what year this was. I was not as old as I am now. I think I was 18, maybe 20. And I saw Megadeth and Exodus, which that was it. That were only two bands. It was fantastic. There wasn't like 75 opening bands. No one I didn't want to see. It was Exodus, then Megadeth. And this was back when what's his name from Eidolon was playing a guitar.
Oh,
Was
Chris
it?
Broderick.
No, it wasn't Chris. It was
Glenn
the
Drover.
yeah, the Drover brothers were, I think,
Right.
were both in the band at the time. And he messed up like a part of Holy Wars, and I loved it because I was like, you're a human. And it made it more like, as a up and coming guy trying to write and create, it made it more attainable to me. They weren't on a pedestal. It wasn't like impossible and shiny. It was real. They still sounded terrific. It's Megadeth. So, but like hearing those little kind of errors and those mistakes, I was like, yes, you're a real person. I cannot stand seeing a band and not hearing anything wrong. I don't like that. I want to hear something wrong. I want to hear them make mistakes because it makes them more human. Like, I could never go see Dream Theater live. I don't think. I think I would just be too much for me because I know they're so precise and just articulate. And I don't want to. I want to now. I don't want to hear like Vince Neil level human element. You know what I'm saying? But I want to definitely hear like some errors here and
Yeah,
there. That
I've seen
doesn't
Dream Theater a bunch of
that
times.
makes it more real.
Seen them back in the early days, Dream Theater, and they were good. Saw them on a couple of those big tours that came through, like Gigantour, Ozfest, or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were, and I know this, I'm going to get crucified for this, but they were boring.
Well, that's what I'm
they were
saying.
really
That too,
boring.
like, they're hyper focused on what they're doing. I get it, but like, if I want to listen to the CD, I'll just listen to the CD. I don't want to pay ticket prices to listen to a CD. So that's where I am. Like, I want to see errors. I want to hear mistakes. I think that's a very human thing, and there again, like, mistakes up to a certain point. I don't want to see train wrecks and things like that. But there's a quality to a human element in terms of music, and people will, like, literally in tracking and stuff like that. Like, when you're using MIDI, you can humanize your MIDI tracks. They make it so that you can actually make your robot tracks less robotic. So then just have a not robot make the music. That seems to be, that's going to come full circle. It's going to be all AI music, and then the cool thing is going to be people making music again. See, it's all cyclical. That's what's going to happen.
Especially
like the art, AI art's real cool right now. Eventually, it's going to come back to people art's cool again.
Right.
So,
I hope so.
Yeah, I've dealt with a couple of bands already where I got these wicked looking album covers, and I'm like, oh, that's really nice. Who did that? Oh, it's AI. And then as I'm doing the layout for their CD, artwork created by, and they put their name in it, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of lame, but that's just my opinion, because you didn't create anything.
Well, but you can also tell. You can also tell it's AI. It's almost like it's got a filter on it.
Yeah, there is very much an AI. I'm not innocent of this either. The Fog of War music video, that's AI generated. Now, some dude had to sit there and make all of the stills to make that. It still takes time, but it's not his brushstroke or anything along those lines. And it was fun to do for a video, but that's that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be using it for album art or anything along those lines.
That's also accompanying the original music. I have no problem with that. Yeah. No problem.
So there's a fine line. It's going to get overused, and I feel like it's going to burn itself out, to be honest. I think people will just get away from it because it's so attainable. And I'm not saying I don't know how to do it. I don't know even how they do it. I think they have to have like a membership or a paid
Yeah.
something or other to utilize the programs that are kicking out this art. But
Yeah.
at the
Pretty
same
much.
time, it's yeah. Do you have to pay for that? The
Yeah.
No,
hand of
I-
yours?
well, I actually found the pen. It's broken, but I found it and it works pretty good. It makes a
See,
cool
if it were
line. And
AI, you wouldn't have a broken pin. You would just
see,
Yeah.
and
Duh.
I've lost jobs over mechanical oriented stuff, and that's fine. I mean,
yeah,
I draw because I like to draw,
right.
and if that doesn't fit the scenario, like that one album that I did for you, I mean, that fit the music.
Yeah.
Kind of raw, and I mean ugly in a kind way, because
No, it absolutely. It's gross.
yeah,
It's gross. Absolutely.
yeah,
That's a demo. Man, if you don't know the history of that, I tracked that. Well, the basement demo was tracked on an iGeffen or some kind of extension for an iPod, and
yeah,
that's what. And it one little tiny mic, and it was in a different room on a
yeah.
dryer. That's what it was on
My
a
favorite
dryer.
part, my favorite part of mastering all that up for you guys was when I think it was you introducing songs, like doing that.
Nope, that was not me. Fun fact, that was my father.
Really?
Really?
So we would
Just like you.
we would turn on the tape to track, demos and such. And if my dad were like wandering around the house, he would like walk by the tape recorder and say all that crazy shit that he says. That's not the only kind of thing that would happen if you were working with my dad. Like we tracked stuff in my band prior to Vindicator, Violent Night. We tracked demos on his like Roland like VS880, like tabletop workstation.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I he would sit, I'd ask him to mix it or something, and I'd come back the next, like the next night, and I'd listen to it, and he would have like random vocal parts in places, like, so you'd have to be careful. You'd have to listen to whole songs to make sure he didn't add any bonus stuff that you didn't want in there. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's totally him. He does. I mean, Marshall says some stuff and Wayne says some stuff, but the guy that sounds like me, that's my dad saying all the really off the wall stuff. And
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah, we're
Tonight,
using
and
that. We're
tonight
keeping that.
only, it's the farting berries or whatever y'all said.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't-
He,
that was
yeah,
genius.
he called us the Rondos, and then he called us like vaginal tooth fairies or something. Pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is too good. That's bonus material for
Oh
sure.
yeah. Yeah. You can't leave that off. That stuff was genius, dude. That was a lot of fun to work on, and I appreciate being able to do that, and also being able to hear that stuff, because the one of the things that's really cool about what I do is I get to hear that stuff, especially that funny, weird shit,
Yeah.
sometimes months before anybody else gets to hear it outside of the band, and I
Right.
freaking love that. So I feel like I have an inside joke for a few weeks or months before it comes out. But
There's it's a lot of the stuff on that bonus disc, and I don't know, Scott, can I talk about it? Am I allowed to
Yeah,
talk about it?
absolutely. Please do. Yeah, it's
So there's you're gonna find a lot of live stuff on disc too, and sometimes that kind of puts people off. I personally love live stuff.
same
And
here.
there's some real special recordings on there. Obviously, the basement demos where it's kind of very early Vindicator, even before I think the demo came out, where we're fleshing out songs and my dad saying dumb stuff, and then like the hairiest song on that is also a cassette live from Lansing where we played with a band called Harbinger, and it's Fog of War, and it's just blown out and on a cassette and sounds terrible, but I
awesome.
love that kind of stuff. One of my favorite live records is Destructor's first show in Cleveland. I have it on vinyl,
Hmm.
and the energy, and it does not sound produced whatsoever. And for me, the uglier the better, especially with live. I love live bootlegs, man. It's
Yeah.
like somebody with the cassette thing in a
Yep.
decent spot. So the tracks from Hollywood, it was an individual who was just there filming that show. And I was like, this is perfect. This is 2008 era us when the album came out. Our first time on the West Coast, opening up for Hyrax and Raven. That was a really cool show. And it sounds that actually sounds pretty good. The location of the individual was actually pretty well. We used some of the stuff from the benefit show because it, there again, it didn't sound. I think we did. It didn't sound. I think there was some 2019 stuff on there. It sounds good, and it's a whole span of us playing, these songs that we've had in our, in our repertoire for 18 years, so that's cool to me. I mean, I know. So with Vindicator, I explained this recently. There's not a whole lot of unused material. I think there's a total of, well, now I think there's only like 2 songs that have never been tracked in a studio. Fog of War, it was 3. Fog of War was one of them. And then I was like, let's do this song. And it turned out great. It was a lot of fun to do. So we use most everything. So we don't have like, oh, there's this song that's not been tracked. Now there's other weird versions. There's this secret Vindicator record that never got released and never will get released. I've contemplated it over the years, but there was actually an album that came out before There'll Be Blood. Fun fact for all the super metal nerds out there. It was called Dead in the Water. So that track had been written prior to the Antique Witcheries, and it was on this record with mostly the stuff that would make up There'll Be Blood. And my brother and I tracked it before the band took a hiatus. And oh, it sounds real bad. So that one's never leaving the vault, man. It's so bad. I listened to it and I'm like, I should do this. I should put this out. And I was like, oh, nope, not doing that.
That's
Nope.
my stuff, man. It's just like there is no way anybody's gonna get to hear this.
It's secrets. You're taking that one to the grave with you.
Yeah.
But it's super cool. Like for me, the double disc is awesome for me. I have a media bucket list, and I think I've done everything now. Well, not a double vinyl. I haven't gotten one of those yet, but like I think that most musicians have one of these. Like I've got
Right.
something on 12-inch vinyl. I've got something on 7-inch. I got cassettes, got CDs, but I never had a double CD. So this is a first for me, and that's ultra special. And everyone involved has knocked it out of the park, with layouts and with with Scott's work. I absolutely loved it. And I was ear to ear grinning when you sent the proofs over. I was like, this looks great. You did a great job on that.
Thanks. Yeah, I thought it came
And
out
so
great.
I'm excited to have those in hand and be able to, get my filthy hands all over them. That's going to be a boatload of fun.
Should be
That
soon.
will be. That
Yeah.
is going to be cool. I'm stoked to get that. That was a lot of
The
fun
actual
to
release
work on.
date is August. What's the date?
15th.
15th. That's
Yeah.
right.
I forgot that too recently. I was like, I don't know, but everybody's is on the same day.
Yeah, August 15th. But yeah, it's actually hopefully yours will be shipping to you early before that date. But
Yeah.
we're
I
still
would
waiting.
greatly appreciate that. I mean, really, I just want them mainly in time for the shows, especially the show at the Maple Groves, because that's the 18-year. I'm hoping for a good turnout.
And when is that again? August.
So that is August 19th.
19th. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Saturday, August 19th at the Maple Grove in Maple Heights, which is essentially Cleveland. Cleveland's got a lot of names that aren't Cleveland, so I guess it would be a suburb. I don't know, but it's essentially Cleveland.
Yeah, I had some friends from Findlay, and Maple Grove sounds familiar.
Okay. Yeah, it's a cool venue. The stairs aren't cool. Stairs are never cool in a venue, but they treat you good, so that's really all that matters. I know we're gonna get a treated well there, so I'll walk up some stairs with amps and things that'll break my legs. I'm gonna be in bad shape the next day.
You'll be ready.
Been there and done that.
man.
It sucks.
I played a place. There's a place in Toronto called Hard Luck, and I played there with Vanek. And so that makes a big difference because, Vindicator travels with normal band stuff like half stacks and just whatever you need sparingly. Vanek travels with full stacks and then some and props and such. And they've got 3 flights of stairs. And that was something to carry all that stuff up with 3 flights of stairs. Man, that was tough. But that was a cool show too. I can't really complain. The shows are cool. It's just all that leg day that I don't do stuff that happens. Oh,
Yeah. Can I throw out a story real quick?
Fire away.
absolutely.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so last Thursday night, I'm not going to get into the details of the personal part of this, but it wraps up into a nice little bow at the end. So I had a little personal crisis come up on Thursday, and once the dust was settling, I'm sitting on the couch contemplating, what to do after the dust was settling after this little situation, and nothing bad. It's all good, but just an unexpected situation occurred, and needed to take care of it. And so my household was kind of down, and everybody was kind of bummed out. Well, anyway, I get a message from Dave Caldwell from Bad Company, Humble Pie. He's been in a million different things. Buckets, Rebel Heart. They're just tons and tons of stuff. Great guy. Friend of the show. We've never had him on, but he's a friend of the show, and he and I have messaged back and forth for several years now. So he messages me and he says, "Hey, my mates in the Choir Boys are in Dallas tonight. I can get you on the guest list if you fancy it." And so again, things are settling, and I look at Audrey and I'm like, "Hey, do you care if I go do this? I want to make sure that I leave everything all good." And it wasn't between us or anything like that, so don't read into that. But she was like, "Yeah, of course, Caden and I will stay here, and we're going to be quiet and read, and that'll be great for you to get out to a show." And so I did. And I very kindly thanked Dave Caldwell, and just said, "Hey, I'm on my way down there." And he said, "You're all sorted, plus one. I went by myself." And he said, "Make sure that you go meet Paul Guerin. He's the guy that I messaged. He's the guitarist of the Choir Boys." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I get to the show, and these dudes are playing, I got there about 5 minutes before they started. They're called Bad Marriage from Boston. Dude, if you love Kicks, LA Guns,
nice.
that sleazy swagger, sweaty metal, and Tommy Skio from Tesla is in the band now playing guitar with them. So I go see those guys, and while they're playing, this long-haired dude sidles up next to me and is taking a couple of pedals off the side of the stage. And he kind of looks at me, and I reach out and I grab him by the arm, and I'm like, "Hey man, are you Paul?" And he's like, "Yeah man, let's talk after the show. It's too fucking loud in here." So yeah, so big smiles, little rock and roll hug, and he goes on. So then we talk between bands, between Bad Marriage and Choir Boys. We talk just for a minute, get to know him a little bit. And when I go up to him, I said, "Hey, this is kind of personal. I don't mean to do this the first time I meet you, but I want to tell you how this kind of rescued, the night. I had this really shit situation." And no kidding, what it was, he had been through the exact specific situation. He gives me a big old hug, and he's like, "Dude, we got to talk after the show." So we do. He was super cool. So glad to know him. Got my nice Choir Boys shirt representing. But next up, Carcass's punchline for me on the show. I got a picture with him. They put on a great set. He's a killer bass player, which I had no idea. I met Chip Zanoff. He is a big dude, man. And
I seen that picture. He really is.
Man, he's a big dude. And he played bass with the Choir Boys. Bad Marriage was just fantastic. That sleazy, awesome rock and roll, tight. Oh my gosh, they were good. Choir Boys came out and delivered a clinic in jangly rock and roll. They were so good. And then, honestly, I kind of thought I was going to slide out after talking to Paul. I was going to kind of slide out and get home early. No. Stayed for the entire Enough's Enough set. They did 2 killer Beatles covers. They did a Paul McCartney cover that was awesome. And they brought all the guitar players back from all the bands up, and they closed the show with "I Get By With a Little Help from My Friends." And
Nice.
It was absolutely dominating. Chip's got some young dudes in the band. He's the only original guy left. but man, it was entertaining and pro, and they were so much fun. And as soon as they were done, he came out and he just, all the bands did, but you always expect some sort of rock star thing to happen. Nope. They just came right down, standing around the merch table, hanging out, taking pictures and signing stuff. And it's so cool because it's so different than when we were growing up. You couldn't have approached those guys in a million years. And so it was really cool. And shocked is the wrong word. I'm always pleasantly surprised at how just absolutely nice those guys are and how genuinely excited they are that you came to the show.
Yeah.
So that was pretty neat. And so I know Carcass likes to talk about me liking Enough's Enough and Bang Tango. I think Tiger Tails is one of your
That's one of my go-to. Yeah.
Tiger Tails, man.
But yeah, no hair metal. Rob enjoyed some hair metal, and a good time was had by all. So I'll save my other story for later in the show. One of you boys go. Show some
Go ahead.
I think I blathered on about the Toxic Havoc show, and like I said, I'm on the hunt for the next one, so that's why that Pittsburgh thing sounds kind of cool, I've got some ties to the Midwest, and I've seen Destructor, and I've seen, I know Jamie Boulder. I mean, we recognize each other when we see each other. That's the cool thing about some of this metal stuff is that it's you recognize the family members when you go to that city,
right?
And although Joel didn't recognize me when I saw him on Friday, Joel from Toxic, because of course I didn't have the beard because Mama likes the beard, but he recognized the voice, and see, I've done projects with this guy, but that 5-year gap, I mean,
right?
And even Steph said, wait a minute, didn't you have blonde hair? Because he just said during the pandemic, I just let it grow out and noticed that it grows even better when you don't bleach it. So anyway, so it's kind of funny that you get down in that personal with people, because you're seeing them on the regular, and here she is chiming in. Thank you. She and I'm telling you what, there are some messed up people because she took care of business in the pit. But I digress, and it's exciting to watch her. But it's fun to reconnect with these dudes, and that's what I love about metal, is that it doesn't really matter the distance in time, because when you're there again and you see those same people, it's like you reconnect instantly, and it's all because of the music.
Right.
So anyway, that struck a nerve with well, and I know I give Rob a hard time because of the in fact, I even called him. I even texted him and said, "Hey, Tiger Tails, are you awake?" In fact, he had such a good time that I went over to his house to pick some stuff up, and he slept right through the alarm. He slept right through the doorbell. And you know what? That's okay. It's totally okay, because that means he really had a good time, and that's his brand of metal. And I've converted him to Napalm Death. I've converted him to Blood Incantation.
Sure.
And so and in fact, I got interested in the Choir Boys, thinking, okay, what's the intrigue here? And I actually kind of like them.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's like I told Dave Sanchez on Friday, if it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
Right. I don't really care what the genre is. Even Osric Tentacles is good.
Yeah.
So Tony, what can I say?
So the first thing, this is the funny thing, to your point, talking about metal and people hanging out and whatever. So I walk in and I'm leaning up on the stage, sparse crowd early, but the place filled out nicely. So I roll up and I'm just kind of leaning on the stage because it's about this high at trees, right next to the guitar monitor, where Paul ended up being on that side of the stage. So that was pretty cool. But I'm standing there and there's this long-haired dude next to me, and I feel him touch me on the arm, and he goes, "Metal Rob?" I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Dude, it's you. I watch your show." And I was like, Well, son of a bitch. That's awesome. That never happens. That was so funny. So anyway, good dude. We hung out. He's the one that alerted me to Tommy from Tesla being in the band. And so we watched a couple of the bands together. Super nice guy. So thank you so much for watching. But yeah, nobody in public ever calls me Metal Rob. But I was gonna say, let me knock my other one out real quick.
Okay.
Scott will have something to say about this. So 30 years ago, I was into this demo tape that's right up there by this band called Damaged Faith from Dallas. No clue where I got it, no clue who turned me on to it. I don't remember at all. But remember, on the show last week, I was talking about it, and Scott chimed in, said, "Hey, I know those guys. I could put you in touch and whatever." So, sure enough, Scott, while we were on the show, he went and messaged Troy Thibodeau, the singer, guitar player, who I'd messaged a couple of times over the years. And guess what I did a couple of days ago?
Oh,
I had
nice.
that tapes.
Nice.
So I transferred. This is just a CDR that he made of the cassette tape. You know, if people wanted one years later, he had run it off on a disc and just sent it to them. But here are the original masters.
Nice.
And right now, that's all I have to say about that.
But it won't be the end.
No,
But
but
it
I
won't be the
met
last thing you
Troy.
say about it, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I met Troy, talked to him. He came into the record store. That's where we met up, and he gave me the tapes. It's so cool that he trusted me with his original DAT tapes, and first time meeting me. But we had a nice long conversation. Salt of the earth dude, super fucking nice. And so, yeah,
Well, I mean, I think once you get past the fact that,
things are brewing.
well, I mean, Vic might be a monster, but the metalheads are not monsters. They're just human
No.
beings.
Right.
And some of them are some of the nicest people you would ever want to meet.
Right.
And when I'm out and about, generally speaking, I mean, there's always a douchebag here and there, but you're going to have those in any walk of life and any genre of
Right.
music. But for the most part, most of these guys are just regular people. They just happen to be really, really good at something that we really, really love, and we enjoy seeing, their performance. And
Yeah.
so that's what I love about and metal is. And I've discussed this before. We've all had this. I'm sure we've had this discussion with parents, friends, enemies, neighbors, whatever. That metal, it has a real camaraderie.
Right.
And you feel a little more attached to it because there's an emotional element. Havoc even announced from the stage, they said, "Okay, we're going to take a moment here. And when I count to 3, I want everybody just to scream as loud and as hard as you can. And let's just get it all out of our system." And that's what we did. And everyone participated. And it was kind of fun. And then, of course, then they rip into Afterburner or something.
Right.
And it starts looking like the permapress cycle in your washing machine again. And the whole thing with the pit, people don't get it, but it's a way to get out your anxiety
Right.
in a more of a controlled way. It worries me when a beautiful woman that just had surgery several months ago gets out and mixes it up with these guys. But you know what? To each their own. And Steph had a blast. I mean, she said, "I felt so alive." And that's the whole thing. That's the thing. How many shows do you go to? I mean, I've seen Led Zeppelin, Sting, Police, The Clash, Ted Nugent a million times, Aerosmith. But how often do you walk away from a show and say, "I feel so alive" after watching that?
And, dude, I was so jazzed after that show.
And metal has that way of pushing you to that limit of euphoria, I guess, for the lack of a better term. But anyway, I can't wait to see. I know I don't know what's lining up for into the fall and winter, and then next year. I just saw the lineup for the Full Terror Assault. That's Tony Clem.
Yeah.
Check that out, man. That's up in Ellen.
Yeah, that's right next door to
Yeah, right
right
next door to you,
me.
Vic. And dude, that lineup is so stacked.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. I mean, how can you not think that here in America, I know we talk about, Europe with Wacken and Full
Right,
Force,
yeah.
and Summer Breeze and Hellfest and all these, but dude, we have Full Terror Assault and then the Pittsburgh thing, and
Dude,
right here.
there's so many good festivals in the US. You got Metal Immortal, you got Full Terror, you got Blades of Steel, you've got Hell's Heroes,
Yeah,
Maryland
there you
Death
go.
Fest is like the big one, and Stormbringer, Gates of Metal. There, and a lot of them do struggle to make it past like the first couple years of it. Usually they'll, the dude from Haunt did Frozen in Time this year, so there are a lot of fests that come and go for a long time. Night Demon had whatever their fest was called out there in Ventura, so there are so many great US festivals. People need to support these fests so that they continue to flourish. They rely on those pre-sale tickets to actually get the fest to completion. I know a lot of folks don't understand that. So if you're interested in a fest, and this is just like a generalization for anyone listening, watching, how, what have you, if you are interested in a fest, buy a pre-sale ticket. It will do more for that festival than waiting till the day of show to actually purchase your ticket. But there's so many good ones out there. I mean, most folks don't even have to leave their state to actually find one. If you do your research, but there's a lot of up and coming ones. So we're getting more, and like Full Terror is one of the few that is an open air festival. So it is very Wacken-esque. I think there's camping.
Sure.
RPM Fest out in Massachusetts is an open air, so there's camping out in that one. I think it's called RPM Fest. It's RPM something. And then there's a lot of great indoor ones. Obviously, there's Legions of Metal in Chicago, and these are all, you get a hotel or what have you. But yeah, people want it. People do. A lot of metal fans in the US are like, oh, Up the Hammers and Wacken and Keep It True, and these are great festivals. Do not get me wrong, but you don't have to fly to Europe to see a great metal festival. Now, some of those bands that are on the European fests will never step foot in America, but vice versa as well. There's a lot of American bands that aren't going to cross the pond or can't cross the pond, and you're only going to be able to see them here. So yeah, it's pretty commonplace to find good fests in the US these days. You just got to do your research.
Yeah.
Well, to your point too, like the Hell's Heroes right here in our backyard in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Sodom. I mean, Sodom never
Dude, yeah,
tours.
no, I know. We've already got our tickets. Sodom doesn't play the US, but like apparently once every like 15 years or something.
Yeah.
I'm not missing that. So I'm not gonna miss that one.
Nope. So
Hey,
anyway,
let's throw it over to Scott and see some of the stuff that he's picked up. We've still got a few minutes. We can.
Oh, it's okay. I was just I was curious if John, have you heard this band? Go ahead, read the logo first.
I
You
can't.
don't know it.
No. No. Go ahead. Tell me what
The
it
Glorious
is.
death metal band called the Glorious Dead.
Glorious Dead. Never heard of them.
Yeah, they've got a couple. Well, they probably got more than two, but I've got two. This is the other one. Cocaine.
Oh no, Vindicator.
That's what I put in my soap. That's why people bought it all.
I was just curious if you heard of these guys. I haven't even actually got to hear them yet, but there's a guy named Marty Worm who he's got a label and he's also pretty prominent on YouTube. It's his band. So I was just curious if you had heard of them or not. But I did want to mention a couple, and this is self-promotion, but I don't give a crap. No Life to Metal stuff that's coming out besides Vindicator. This is out, the new Chris Manning. And
oh my gosh.
It is such a great album.
Dude.
Well, and he's a great dude too. That's the thing. He's a killer guitarist, and he's even a better guy, and has become a good friend. That album is amazing. I've actually heard it, and it's got some killer players on it, including Bruce Kulick.
Oh,
hello.
Yeah, Bruce Kulick's on it. But the songwriting is great, and Bruce Kulick was part of the songwriting process, sort of. Chris wrote the songs, but he ran everything through Bruce, and Bruce, helped him spice things up and spruce things up
Yep.
and that kind of thing. But what really, I mean, on top of the guitar playing, obviously he's the guitar player. Those vocals are just fantastic.
Out of
Chris
this
Hodges
world.
is amazing. So yeah, anyhow, if you don't have that album, especially if you're a vinyl collector, you need to get it quick because there's only 100 copies available. Plenty of CDs, but
this record
Chris
is
Manning.
as good as any melodic hard rock, borderline heavy metal out there. I stand by that. It is so good.
You'll fight in the parking lot for it?
Well, if you're with me.
Okay.
But
because I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big secret, but the new Anger's Art album is coming out on No Life to Metal as well, on vinyl and CD. They had been previously signed to another label, and they just were tired of I don't know. They were just tired of some nonsense. So they were like, we want a label that actually likes our music and cares about us. So they came to us, and we're putting that out. But we also just discovered. So I'm a huge Heathen's Rage fan. New Jersey act from the 80s. They had recorded, a bunch of stuff back in the 80s. They fizzled out around 88, 89 or so.
Yeah.
I found out in 1993 they got back together and recorded a whole nother album that was never released. And it wasn't the speed metal or thrash metal that they were doing. It was more traditional metal, but man, it's so good. And that will be coming out as well. Not a big secret because the guitar player spilled the beans yesterday on Facebook, but yeah, so it's going to be under the name Warner, which is the guitar player's last name. And the album's going to be called After the Rage.
Nice.
Isn't that clever? So
Yes,
anyhow,
clever.
I'm excited about that. It's going to be on vinyl and CD as well. So that's a couple of things that are coming out on the No Left to Metal label that I'm excited about.
That's
Sweet.
cool.
On top of the Vindicator that's coming out. But anyhow, we don't have to worry. We could do another show and talk about new crap that we picked up.
Heck, yeah, we're already at an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
I
did pick up this album by this unknown band though.
No one knows that one.
I know.
Wow, what is that? Is that a new
Breaking
release
news.
of some sort?
Band out.
I've been trying to find a copy of this. It's got a little bit of a dent in the corner, but other than that, it's nearly perfect. But I've been trying to find a Walmart edition of this forever. And a buddy of mine says, I walked into Walmart and there actually was one in there. You want it? So he picked it up for me. Yeah, it's the red vinyl version. So
that vinyl does look cool. Is it just red, or is it like, is there something? It looks like there's a couple colors.
You know what? Let's discover together. I literally got this in the mail
Let's
yesterday.
discover together. I like that.
Yeah.
I think the Ride the Lightning is blue, and the Master is kind of a
unboxing.
root beer color.
Yeah.
It's kind of reminiscent of the cover.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. Kill 'Em All will always be my favorite Metallica record. It's so raw. It's got an energy to it. It's got an energy to it. And like you were talking about before with Mistakes, it's got, it's not perfect, which I love that about it.
Well, and there's such a new wave of British heavy metal influence on it too,
right?
Which I dig. I love that album.
It's red with black
swirl in it, like
a little bit of black swirl in it. Yeah, like smoke. Yeah.
That's
I like
cool.
how they made the label look. They made the label kind of look like the old silver. What label was that on? What label was it on originally?
What was it? Megaforce? Important.
Megaforce. There you go. Yeah.
Megaforce.
Yeah. Bang the head that does not bang. That was on the back of it.
And I did.
I actually think I have a Megaforce pressing of that. I think that's my pressing. Oh, they put it back on there. There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's back on there.
It sounds surprisingly better than it sounds good. I don't know if they tweaked it or did something with it.
When Metallica got a hold of all their early stuff and started putting it out on the blackened label, they did remaster a lot of their stuff. At least with the CDs. I bought like the first 3 in slipcases. And the packaging is kind of cheap, but the records, the remasters really do sound good. Whoa, what's that? They gave you a playing card?
No, it's one of those download cards.
A download
card.
That's
cool.
Not that I ever. Actually, if anybody wants it, here you go.
I love that stuff.
I don't download anything, so I could care less about downloads.
But
besides the fact that I have besides the fact that I have multiple copies of this thing on vinyl and CD and everything else. So
yeah.
But hey, Vic, I know we're almost done here, but curious what you think of the new Metallica.
Yeah, 72 seasons. That one.
Yeah.
Well, so I listened to like the first couple singles because don't get me wrong, I thought Hardwired was all right. I actually have the expanded edition of Hardwired because I kind of like Lords of Summer or whatever that song's called. That was like a
Mhm.
record store day release, and they put
Yeah.
all that stuff on the expanded one. So I'm like, all right, I like the songwriting on it. It wasn't bad. So this guy, I can't point ever in the right direction. This yellow thing. uh, As soon as I saw the art, I was like, you guys are getting creative with your logo again. So you just have the M on there now. You have like the coolest single heavy metal logo. Please, for the love of God, do not change any aspect of it and don't hide 90% of it. You can put your whole logo on there and it's awesome. In fact,
Yep.
I would suggest getting rid of that proper A and going back to the slanted A because they did do that. They made it wider. But so I listened to whatever that first single was. I don't remember what it was called. And it was, I'm sorry, I love Metallica. They're always going to infinitely make more money than me and be more popular than anything I write. But that first single was boring.
You talking
It
about
was
Lux
6
Eterna?
minutes of the same. So something that they've got to get through their heads is, look, guys, you wrote And Justice for All, and all those songs are like over 5 minutes long. You can't do that with songs that are on Kill 'Em All. Can you imagine Seek and Destroy being 7 minutes long? The reason that those early songs worked is because they were all short. 72 seasons, they still have that. Well, we wrote And Justice, so let's make all of our songs 12
7,
minutes
8
long.
minutes long.
Yeah, it's not. So so I listened to that first single. It's okay, but just trim off like 4 minutes of it because it's that same riff and it's not a very creative riff. And I don't know, go back to singing about Lovecraftian things. I really appreciate that aspect of Metallica. I'm done with these real deep Hetfield lyrics. Like, stop, read more books, write more about the books. I like books.
Like I'm a
songs.
table. I'm a table.
Yeah, I still don't understand what that was about. So, and then the second single came out and it's just the same thing to me. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna get it. I just haven't rushed out to buy it because I
Well, you should be
wasn't.
able to find a copy because I see them
Yeah,
everywhere.
I feel like it's gonna be like
I
probably
like it.
ranked below. It's gonna be like Lulu, Saint Anger, and then this one. And another thing, like, look, guys, you really should, shorten the gap between releases too if you want to keep doing this. Like, Dave Mustaine's over there laughing hysterically as he still like is kicking out records that just are way better than what Metallica's doing. And I'm sorry, I don't care if you don't like Megadeth or not. That dude writes riffs, and I don't know how he still is writing songs like he writes. Whatever that last record would call it, because that was a stupid name for a record too. The Good, the Bad, and the Dying, or whatever. The Dying, the Ugly, and the Dead. I don't remember what it was called with Robot Vic. I'm tired of seeing Vic Rattlehead as a robot. All that stuff was dumb. Those songs are not dumb. That album is very, very good. And so I don't know. It's just, we know that Metallica is still doing all the tours. And I know they're playing a lot of stuff from their entire discography, which is actually kind of cool. They're not just playing the first 3 records. They're playing stuff off a load. I think they actually do play Saint Anger songs. I have no idea why, but they do it. So I mean, they're banking, though. Obviously, everyone knows, on Kill 'Em All to the Black Album. That's their honeypot. And so I don't know, either stop writing records or write better records.
Or get a
Even
producer. Get a
Yeah,
freaking producer.
precisely.
And not Rick Rubin or Bob Rock, please.
Right,
No,
exactly.
look at the last Judas Priest record, Last You Accept records.
Right.
Get that dude.
Right,
he,
yeah.
He focuses the band in. These songs are they're just more focused. They're not long, drawn out, and freaking boring.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, guys, that's not a bad riff, but then it's a bad riff after you just keep doing that same riff for the entire song. I don't know, it's just not creative to me. And that's the thing is, look at it this way. Like, they put that out and oh, they're fans. Oh God. If I would have wrote that song and released it as a Vindicator song, no one would have cared. So that's kind of how you have to look at this, is just because they're Metallica doesn't mean that they can write trash and we have to accept it as fans. And I feel that way about a lot of bands.
Well, and look at
Iron Maiden.
Yes.
Look at what Overkill dropped on the same day as that 72 seasons or whatever.
Overkill's
Overkill.
unsung heroes, man. They've been consistently great forever. I don't know why more people don't talk about them. Bobby Blitz still sounds like Bobby Blitz, which is why I don't know how he does it. How can you maintain that voice for 30 some odd years? He still sounds great.
Yeah,
They're still making great music.
'Cause
So
he's in the Wrecking Crew. Duh.
he is. I should have known that.
yeah, he is the Wrecking Crew.
He seems to me like he's a very fit person. Like he probably works out a lot and takes very good care of himself.
But he
That's
smokes
why.
2 packs a day. I mean, I don't understand it.
Yeah, man.
Does he really?
It's
Yeah, well,
he's like he's like the new Lemmy.
Right.
Does
Minus
he
the
still
Jack
smoke that
Daniels.
much?
Right.
I don't know if he still does, but I mean, he did. There definitely was some smoking going on. You ever heard that compilation of his laughs? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one talks about, I mean, Overkill fans talk about Overkill. Obviously, they have a massive built-in fan base, but I mean, like, they're not heralded like above.
Oh, heck no.
I don't know. I get Metallica. I understand they founded all this stuff, but at the same time, like, okay, you guys have had your time, you've done your thing, and you're not really doing anything great now. So if you want to keep playing your old songs, that's fine. We don't need no new ones because they're not good until they can do something about that. But the thing is, the millions of people that are you just gushing about it, they're going to keep doing it. And that's kind of the fate for all those kind of bands.
I talked to a guy that has an $8,000 ticket to see them with Pantera.
Word.
And he'll get to be on stage with a roadie who says, okay, that's Kurt's guitar. That's Lars's drum set. Okay, I'll show you where they get dressed. Okay, now you can stand over there. $8,000. Now, he didn't have to pay it, but I thought, they actually have an $8,000 ticket? And it's like
there's some wonky ticket prices these days,
I'm like,
man.
that's yeah, and you're in a giant bubble that holds 100,000 people.
Right.
How good is it going to sound? I hope they pop the roof on Jerry's World, so at least has a chance, because I can remember taking my son to see Linkin Park Deftones because he wanted to, and Metallica at a place in Houston that was a dome stadium, and it sounded worse than I could ever imagine.
Oh, really?
And everybody thought that it was so wonderful because it was loud.
Now I'll admit, I saw Metallica in 2019, in February, and it was a great set, and they sounded great. They did a great job. And I mean, you should do a great job when that is literally your life. Like, that's what you do for a living. You should probably sound pretty good. Now, it's not the same, because they were doing that cube stage thing. There's no amps on stage anymore. They're using like Axe effects and stuff like that.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't like that. Like, I want to feel the air. When I saw Motorhead and Lemmy was done and he set his bass down in front of his rig, and apparently that was part of the show, that Motorhead was done, and you have to listen to feedback for 5 straight minutes. At the time, I didn't understand that concept, and it actually kind of annoyed me because even at the time, I wasn't a super Motorhead fan. I'm way more of a Motorhead fan now than I was then. It was a great tour. It was Motorhead, Dio, and Iron Maiden, and you couldn't go wrong that night. And I'm glad that I did get to see him, in light of him passing away, because I'm one of these guys that, like, I go and I see a band, and it's tough for me to actively get to shows now more than ever. But even back then, I focused on my own gigging and my own writing and stuff like that. I'd go see a band, and once was enough, and I'll gush about them and say, like, Alice Cooper was the greatest show that I've ever seen in my music goings. That guy put on a killer show, still sounds amazing, and shouldn't have opened for Motley Crue, who did not sound that good or put on that show. So, but it's still like, I'm happy to have seen these bands once. So it's like, my wife put off seeing Children of Bodom. She always wanted to and never got around to it. And with Alexi passing away, that's not going to be a thing that she's going to get to experience now. So, at least seeing them once. But I mean, it's like, that show was cool, but at the same time, yeah, obviously I wish that I were like old enough to see them when they were touring on Master of Puppets. I love watching videos from like that era when they were like freakishly tight and
Mhm.
they were still young enough, and that aggression and that hunger was still there on that record. Oh my gosh, just a YouTube video is good enough for me to just completely beast out. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh yeah, this is so good.
I
So
finally saw him in '89 on the And Justice for All tour. That was the
okay,
first time I saw him.
which was probably
Hey,
equally as awesome.
They were
just a
awesome.
Were they
Just a-
opening for Ozzy, or were they headlining?
No headlining.
just an FYI, Bobby Blitz quit smoking 10 years ago when he
Oh,
had
Good for him.
when he had his cancer health scare.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, he's
that makes sense. That's
I- I
good.
found
that
He
out-
he still sounds like he does. So I don't.
Yeah.
How's that work? How do you
don't
maintain
know.
that?
maybe that's his
Yeah.
real voice after all. Who knows?
It was never the same.
Sorry, can't thank Marlboro as a sponsor anymore.
Right. I always tell my wife, I wish I would have been like started smoking like way long time ago so that I had a cool voice, and now I don't know if that would have worked. I would have still sounded dumb. Scott ruined it for me now. I was going to start today. I was like, Bobby does have a cool voice. I should just go smoke a bunch of cigarettes, and now I'm not going to smoke cigarettes. Thanks a lot, Scott.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yeah, you're better off.
ruined it.
Well, we're way over time. How about any shout outs left? Any
I
anything?
think we're good. Are y'all ready for me to seal this up with a nice bow?
Let's do
Yes,
it.
sir.
All right. Well, let's get things set here. First of all, let's get rid of that. Let's go to the brand tab. Let's select the 2023 outro, and let's do this.
Hey Vic,
Or
thanks for joining us.
No, thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you can follow me on Instagram at Metal Robs Records, where I will whip your ass about stuff that I'm selling in my record store. You can follow Scott Waters on Instagram at No Life Till Metal. You can also find him on YouTube and his badass show with about 1 billion subscribers by just searching Scott Waters. You can follow the Carcass on Instagram at Carcass John Art, where he will do kick-ass artwork for you. And Vic, how can they get a hold of you?
You can find me on the internet.
Vindicator Bandcamp.
Yeah,
Vindicator
you can. So since this show's about Vindicator, because I have 7 million projects, so you don't want to hear all the URLs. But so this one was about Vindicator. So you can find Vindicator at vindicator.bandcamp.com. That's Vindicator, VINDICATOR.bandcamp.com.
Right, and
Phonetically,
for four easy payments of $19.95 each,
yeah,
you can have.
You can be my friend.
Vic.com.
Right on.
Dude, it's awesome that you came on with us today. Please, seriously, sit in with us anytime.
I don't know that you want me to, because I'm just winded. I'm a winded individual. Like I'm
No, we're
very
good.
long.
I'm gonna get one of those cool mics, man, because you do sound good.
I know, man. I need a badass mic coming down that you sound like Howard Stern.
I've been doing this long enough. I should have, like in terms of like music, sometimes you have to try to get professional gear. It was time to, get rid of that Radio Shack mic with the switch on it and get some stuff.
I wish I could show you my shitty camera that I bought at a garage sale, because that's what I'm using. But anyway, for episode 187, I am Metal Rob signing off, and we will see you every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on YouTube and live on Facebook. And until next time, you know how we do it. Metal will prevail. And you do funny things with your hand. You can do this. You can do that. You can do this. Is a good one.
Oh yeah.